Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. Todd Mattis is off tonight. It is Thursday, the 30th of October. This is CTV News. Tonight, trick or treat. Halloween comes early for some to avoid a dark and stormy night. A break at the pumps. Government to scrap the carbon adjuster, resulting in cheaper gas.
A blast of wind and rain comes through tomorrow. Some spots might be clear of the worst by early evening.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Bruce Frisco.
Good evening. You'll hear more about this from Kaylin in a moment. The forecast for Halloween night is wet and wild in some parts of the region, including Cape Breton. That's where some communities are celebrating a day early. Meantime, others have decided to brave the scary elements. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
Hurricane Melissa is tracking north after devastating the Caribbean, and the system is set to contribute to the rain and high winds in parts of the Maritimes Friday evening.
The forecast didn't look too promising. It actually got worse.
Leroy Denny is chief of Eskasoni First Nation, with Cape Breton expected to get some of the worst Halloween weather. They, along with some other communities like Membertou First Nation and the village of St. Peter's, have moved trick-or-treating to this evening, figuring it would be safer for the kids.
Families, toddlers that are going around with their parents and with their friends. And we have a lot of kids that are autistic, neurodivergent.
Unfortunately, some days you have to make hard decisions. This is a decision that CBRM has made.
The Cape Breton Regional Municipality and Victoria County are among those that are standing pat, leaving trick-or-treating on Friday. The CBRM says that its police force makes the final decisions when it comes to Halloween safety. Cyril McDonald, a former city councillor, plans to take his kids trick-or-treating no matter the weather.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I would have rather seen it on this evening. It's beautiful out today. Maybe Saturday would have been a nicer day, but yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is, I guess.
There are also indoor trick-or-treating options planned for Friday, including one here at the McCurdy-Sydney Airport, with some other communities holding similar events at places like Legions, fire departments, and community halls.
I think there's bigger things that we should be worried about in the world right now, Ryan, and trick-or-treating is maybe not at the top of the list.
Meanwhile, some other maritime municipalities, including Charlottetown, Summerside, and Bathurst, have moved trick-or-treating to Saturday.
Well, Bruce, we're coming to you here from Membertou, one of those communities that decided to hold trick-or-treating tonight. And I have to tell you, it's beautiful out here. It's about 10 or 11 degrees, hardly a breath of wind. And as you can see, there are plenty of trick-or-treaters around. We saw hundreds during our drive through the community. Some were even wonder if some kids might get the idea to double dip today, given that Membertou is smack in the middle of Sydney. You know, trick-or-treat here tonight and then in their own neighborhood tomorrow night. So standing here tonight, I can tell you, is a treat. Tomorrow, the weather might be more of a trick, but Halloween tomorrow night in CBRM is set for 5:30 to 7:30, even if it is a dark and stormy night, as you said off the top, Bruce.
For sure. All right. Thank you, Ryan. CTV's Ryan McDonald reporting live tonight from Membertou. This is kind of the focus of our CTV News web poll tonight. We're asking, should trick-or-treating be rescheduled when wet weather is expected on Halloween? Yes, no, or it depends how much rain is expected. As always, the poll can be found ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Here's a live look at Fredericton tonight, where it is currently 10 degrees. And with all of this in mind, we'll get our first look at the forecast now with Kaylin Mitchell. It is a pretty nice evening out there right now.
Yeah, and the only other thing I wanted to mention is with all the talk about, of course, trick-or-treating and the inconvenience this weather is causing to that. One thing we shouldn't overlook, Bruce, is that we really needed this rain, right?
Oh, we did, for sure, yeah.
We've been a drought for months and months on end. I know the timing isn't fantastic for it, but these are the type of rain events we need to continue to see here over the coming weeks to really help out with that extended period of very dry weather. Again, this is a combination of a couple of weather systems. The main part of this weather system is a low-pressure system and weather fronts making its way to the eastern United States. The contribution from Melissa mostly comes in the form of some moisture that's being pushed northward by that storm. It's going to get caught up in that front and kind of enhance the rain around the Maritimes. Brings about it a higher chance that we could see some periods of heavier rain or some downpours. And that's why we have some warnings in effect. Rainfall warnings out around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and around parts of Atlantic coastal Nova Scotia. It's fairly widespread rainfall amounts for those areas. Could be 40 to 60 millimeters, maybe locally as high as 60 to 80. A special weather statement is in effect for the remainder of the Maritimes, calling for some fairly widespread rainfall amounts between 20 and 40 millimeters of rain, but accompanied by some gusty wind conditions. In fact, it's going to be gusty tomorrow across all 3 maritime provinces. Winds first from the southeast, and then later as the front goes through, becoming southwest and west. One wind warning related to those conditions. It's for northern Inverness County in Cape Breton. Because of the topography of the Cape Breton Highlands, there's some of the peak gusts on Friday get up to 120 kilometers per hour. Let's take a look at the detailed timing of this round of rainy and windy weather as it's coming through tomorrow. It arrives very early in the morning hours, southwest of Nova Scotia, western areas of New Brunswick, but then it's pretty quick to make its way into the entirety of the Maritime region. So morning into afternoon, basically turning rainy and windy almost everywhere. Brighter colors indicating the risk of some heavier rain, some downpours. So morning to up to around noon, that's mostly in the west of Nova Scotia and around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick. And then as we head into the evening, that risk of some downpours pushes into the northeast of New Brunswick, across Prince Edward Island and eastern areas of Nova Scotia. Hopefully, much of southern and western areas of New Brunswick and Halifax and west of Nova Scotia will be through the heaviest of the rain, but you should expect a little bit of patchy drizzle to be around, and there will still be some gusty winds. Winds gusty all the way into Saturday, by the way. Let's have more in the forecast when I'm back a little bit later on, Bruce.
Yeah, and as you say, that rain is going to be a treat for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, full forecast coming up about 15 minutes or so. Thank you, Caitlin. Price New Brunswickers pay at the pumps, the gas pumps, in December should be down about 8 cents. The Susan Holt government is keeping a campaign promise to get rid of the cost of the carbon adjuster. That decision, though, does not come without some criticism. CTV's Laura Brown explains.
It's a promise she made during the election campaign. Now, just over a year later, Susan Holt says she's making good on it.
We made a clear commitment to remove the cost of carbon adjuster to provide real relief at the gas pumps.
The 3-year-old carbon adjuster is the portion you pay at the pump that covers the federal government's clean fuel regulations. It ranges from 7 to 9 cents, which means come December 1st, gas will be around 8 cents cheaper. But retailers say someone's got to pay.
Thinking that you can remove 7-8 cents and that there would be no impacts on retailers is ludicrous. You know, like the cost of this regulation is real.
New Brunswick fuel retailers issued a joint statement saying this move could threaten the closure of up to 25% of gas stations, specifically those in rural areas. Holt says the Energy and Utilities Board will need to make adjustments.
The EUB has a mandate to ensure stability of supply and to ensure the lowest possible price for New Brunswickers. And so we certainly don't want to see folks close or go out of business, and we don't want to see New Brunswickers overpaying for gas.
But the Canadian Fuels Association says retailers will be knocking on the EUB's door, asking for the 8 cents to be made up elsewhere.
We want you as a regulator to recognize that amount and put it in. You know, call it the way you want. If you're not calling it the carbon adjuster, call it the federal government tax or whatever you want to call it. But the cost is real.
Holt says it's now in the EUB's hands, as well as industry, to find a way to move forward. But the legislation has been set to remove the carbon adjuster by December 1st. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
To Nova Scotia now, where the province confirms it is in discussions with a developer and a new bid to build part of an 18-hole golf course in West Mabou Provincial Park. The same idea was rejected by the Houston government a couple of years ago, but officials say things have changed and they're open to the possibility now of leasing some Crown land for the project. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
Again, we have to be open for business. And
that's the message from Nova Scotia's new Minister of Natural Resources, echoing comments made earlier by Premier Tim Houston regarding a proposal from a golf course developer looking to lease Crown land to build part of an 18-hole golf course at West Mabou Beach Provincial Park. The province received the proposal in August, but very few details have been shared.
I haven't read the proposal yet. I've been a minister for a couple days now, so I'd appreciate if I could have a little bit of time.
The Houston government and the former Natural Resources Minister Tory Rushton rejected a proposal from Cabot Links in 2023, who are looking to build a third golf course in the area. Earlier this month, Rushton was shuffled out of cabinet, and now Houston and Maslin are saying they need to look at ways to develop the economy while also protecting the environment.
It's a different place than it was 3 years ago. We have $1 billion deficit. The international trade relationships are different. So we need to be looking at opportunities, and we need to have frank discussions about what those opportunities are.
West Mabou residents are tired of having this fight. They did it in 2018 and again in 2022 and are now gearing up for a third fight. This time, they say there's more interest because the community thought this fight was finally over the last time.
Not just the fact they're doing it for the third time, but how it's being done is not sitting well with so many people. And I find what's different this time too is there are a lot more people getting on board who are just so fed up that maybe didn't speak out last time, but are just so fed up.
Houston has said this is just a conversation and no formal public consultations have been planned so far. CTV News did reach out to the developer for comment, but didn't hear back by deadline. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Just a reminder, for more on that story or anything you're viewing here tonight, feel free to visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. It is your home for news. A poignant gathering in Nova Scotia's Pictou County last night. It's been 6 months now since Jack and Lily Sullivan vanished from their home in Lansdowne Station. Last night, friends and family gathered to honor the missing siblings on what would have been Jack's 5th birthday. CTV's Hafsa Arif was there.
The glow of candles, the sound of poems, and the weight of 6 long months without answers.
Our search for Jack and Lily will always push through.
Outside this RCMP detachment where a memorial for Jack and Lily sits, more than a dozen people came together to mark what should have been a celebration. Jack's 5th birthday.
Wherever he's at, I hope he knows he's loved. I hope Lily knows she's loved. You know, we've never stopped loving her.
It was a quiet but emotional evening, filled with tears, memories, and hope.
All the days are kind of the same. You wake up and you go to sleep with the same thing on your mind, and you just want the answers, and we have nothing.
Family members read poems, and new stuffed animals were dropped off, joining the growing tribute that stood here for months.
Keep searching, keep pushing for answers, because if we don't push, it's going to go away.
For Jack and Lily's stepfather, just being here was both comforting and difficult.
I wish I was there for his 5th birthday, but you know, I'm not and I can't be. At least we have everyone gathered together to, you know, to celebrate his birthday.
RCMP officers also attended, not to speak about the investigation, but to stand with the community.
The memorial site is out front of our office here, so we see it on a daily basis, and you know, the members are concerned, the care, and again, they just want to be here to support everyone that's here.
The memorial that stood outside the RCMP detachment since shortly after the siblings vanished will soon move indoors for the winter to a storefront in nearby Alma.
We're going to house it and keep the light on in the lighthouse and stuff, and hopefully shine the way home for Jack and Lily to come back to Pictou County.
The vigil may have ended, but for those who love Jack and Lily, the waiting continues. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Stellarton.
Province of New Brunswick is ramping up efforts to attract more visitors year-round. The government today released a 5-year tourism plan, which aims to increase revenue significantly. CTV's Derek Haggett has more on the strategy and who it's targeting.
New Brunswick wants to increase its annual tourism revenue by $1 billion and reach a goal of close to $4 billion within 5 years. 10 main priorities of the new strategy focus on all seasons of the province and celebrating Acadian and Indigenous cultures. One way to get that $1 billion goal? Reach new markets.
to market to maybe tourists that weren't coming before in different regions. So that bringing more tourists into our region, creating more products to make them want to come into our region.
Among the province's priorities, define and celebrate New Brunswick's strengths, build on New Brunswick's Quebec advantage, expand New Brunswick's Ontario market, and grow New Brunswick's United States market. The owner of this campground has been in tourism for 60 years. It's mostly positive news to her because she feels the province hasn't always been listening to tourism operators.
They have a wealth of knowledge to share because they're the frontline workers. You know, the operators are the ones who interact with the clients, the tourists.
Dueron says the final numbers are not in just yet, but it's looking like one of the biggest tourism seasons since 2019.
Which is very, very exciting. And that's strategy that we just launched yesterday. So it's only going to get better from here. We were very busy. Our personal business went up over 30%. And that's a big chunk, the biggest ever in 60 years.
Sutherland says she saw a lot of tourists from Quebec, Ontario, the United States, and even Europe this summer. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
As the wildfire season officially winds down, there was some well-deserved recognition for firefighters in the New Brunswick legislature today. The men and women who stepped up in the firefight in an extremely challenging year received a formal thank you. CTV's Nick Moore has the story.
It is one of the first opportunities in a long time that staff from New Brunswick's Wildfire Management Branch have been able to gather together and take a breath.
Really, it's only been 2 or 3 weeks that we can say that, you know, we're actually kind of out of the woods, so to speak.
Out of the woods after one of New Brunswick's busiest wildfire seasons on record.
We're talking, you know, almost 2 solid months of firefighting, along with, you know, the work that comes after the fires are out. You still have to get all your equipment out.
Today, the wildfire management crews were invited to the New Brunswick legislature to receive recognition and an official thank you.
We're very humbled to be invited here. Due to our training and preparedness level, we were able to tackle what we had and we're able to overcome it. And slowly, like as the season now winds up, we're able to now kind of like look back and a lot of lessons learned.
I think it's just a great way to recognize all the work that everyone has done over the fire season and how successful it really was at the end of the day.
I want to express our gratitude and our thanks to each and every one of you.
MLAs took time at the beginning of today's daily sitting to thank the crews watching from the gallery above.
Throughout the daunting situation that we had this past summer, not a single structure was lost throughout New Brunswick.
And it makes everyone in this time of insecurity in general in this province feel very secure knowing that you're on the job.
I just want to chime in on behalf of all of Miramichi and say a huge congratulations and a huge thank you for everything that you've done in stepping up.
Tomorrow will mark the official end of wildfire season in New Brunswick. Altogether, 438 wildfires were recorded, burning more than 3,400 hectares of forest. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
In these dark, uncertain times, it's something that's brought joy to much of the country. The Toronto Blue Jays are now just 1 win away from capturing their 3rd ever World Series championship. Of course, some fans weren't even born the last time they won, but having Canada's only MLB team vying for the sport's biggest prize has rallied supporters from coast to coast. CTV's Callum Smith has the story tonight of a trio of local university students who've already got lifelong memories from this playoff run.
It's currently 11:41 Atlantic time.
Left at 8:30.
Left at 8:30 p.m. We just passed Salisbury, New Brunswick.
It was an overnight trip to Toronto for Game 1 of the World Series.
We all watched the Springer home run, Game 7 of the prior series, and we all watched together like, yeah, we got to go. And pack the bags.
These 3 St. FX University students from Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Alberta set out for the trip of a lifetime.
This doesn't look like any of this.
This isn't any of this.
They went without tickets, but with a lot of hope.
We went and talked with everybody we absolutely could.
And we just kind of thought, well, maybe we'll get lucky and somehow get tickets. We were hoping some company would donate us tickets.
Including an interview with CTV.
We're students, so we're trying to mull around a little bit, see if we can get any connections here to get cheap tickets. Otherwise, we'll probably go to a local sports bar.
But it ended up being the generosity of a fan from Connecticut who gifted them 3 tickets.
Caleb goes, how much are you selling them for? Because everyone was trying to sell tickets. And he was like, no, free. And we were like, no, come on, like how much? And then he's like, free, come in right now.
Memories that will last a lifetime.
Game 1 of the World Series in Toronto alone is something I don't think any of us would have forgot. The fact that we not only drove there from Nova Scotia on a whim last minute, but managed to get tickets by the generosity of a stranger is just something that, you know, we will never forget.
These students know they won't be buying tickets for Game 6, which started around $2,000.
As a student, I think I'd have to skip a month of meals.
Still, they're contemplating one more road trip.
I think it would be electric to be just in the area the same way we thought for Game 1. We only have a few hours to decide.
So while the Blue Jays come home with a 3-2 series lead, looking to capture their 3rd World Series title on Friday, whether or not these students go back is a game-time decision. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Quite a story. Still to come tonight, cloudy conditions set to prevail across the region tonight. Kalen will be back with his full forecast. Coming up next, though, using AI to reduce power outages.
We're the first utility in Atlantic Canada to partner with AI Dash.
How Nova Scotia Power is using new technology to keep tree branches off the power lines and your lights on. That's next. Nova Scotia Power is turning to technology to help fix an old problem, falling branches and trees taking down power lines. The company says it'll be using artificial intelligence to help crews determine where and when to cut back the greenery. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has details.
Nova Scotia Power is betting on better service based on information gathered from satellites circling the Earth.
We're the first utility in Atlantic Canada to partner with AI Dash.
NSP officials say getting a high-resolution image of the 28,000 kilometers of power lines that run throughout the province will allow the utility to better manage vegetation growth around poles and wires. The AI technology color codes areas that need attention from low to top priority.
You know, producing that snapshot of our entire system really enables us to focus in on those high-risk areas. So, you know, it's important to know where we need to be, but it's also equally important to know where we don't need to be.
As a result, customers should see fewer outages caused by vegetation impact on infrastructure during storms.
Obviously, with our number one outage cause being trees, this just helps us be more efficient with the funds and budget that we do work with.
The cost is $3 million over 3 years and is part of NSP's 5-year reliability plan that includes modernizing the grid, reinforcing the system, as well as vegetation management.
This technology and this work is a part of our plan in order to make sure that we're meeting those standards by 2029.
The imagery is not live and can only be captured in the summer months when leaves are still on the trees. All this began as a pilot project 3 years ago. Nova Scotia Power will be fully implementing this AI technology in 2026. Jonathan McGuinness, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, John. Still to come, a round of rainy, windy weather for Halloween this year. Kaylin will have all the details when CTV News at 6 continues right after this quick little break. Isn't that a relaxing sound? Recent rains there have fed Fall River, which is flowing much more strongly these days. And we have more rain on the way tomorrow.
Yeah, it's good to see. We need this wet weather. We've talked about it. We kind of wish it didn't end up on Halloween, but that was the hand we were dealt here in the Maritimes. So
we'll take what we can get at this point after the few months that we've had. It's such a pretty sound, pretty sighted.
It is. Put that on, just relax. Nice book, cup of tea, nod off in a very comfortable chair.
Yeah, see, now I'm just, now I feel like kind of...
Sorry, Bruce. You got a show to get through.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's take a look at what's coming up in our forecast for tomorrow. Let's start off with an update on Hurricane Melissa. So this is a 6 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center. Category 2 hurricane. Bermuda is still underneath a hurricane warning, though the passage of the storm is likely to take it, very likely to take it, just to the west of Bermuda, so not moving directly over that island. They may still catch some of the stronger winds and some of the rain that surrounds that storm system. And then from there, as it moves northward, it's going to pass to the Grand Banks area of Atlantic Canada and may come close, pretty close to the Avalon Peninsula in Newfoundland before it moves off towards the North Atlantic. And there are parts of the Avalon underneath a tropical weather statement saying that they can catch some of the gustier conditions from that storm system as it moves by late Friday night and into early Saturday morning. Let's take a look at our forecast timeline here in the Maritimes. For the remainder of tonight, it's going to be increasing cloudiness from the west. During the overnight hours, the first of the rain starts to make an appearance in the westernmost areas of New Brunswick and the southwest of Nova Scotia. Then very quickly, that rain fills in across the Maritimes between around 5 a.m. and noon tomorrow. Within that area of rain, there's going to be some downpours. The risk of heavier rain and downpours showing up in through the brighter colors. So initially through the morning hours and up to around the early afternoon. That's in the western half of Nova Scotia and the southwest of New Brunswick. Now moving into the evening, that band of steady and even heavy rain continues to move eastward. Comes across Prince Edward Island, eastern areas of Nova Scotia, some lingering rain in northern areas of New Brunswick. There is a very good possibility by the early evening hours when trick-or-treaters are starting to head out, the bulk of that rain may have cleared southern and western areas of New Brunswick and the western half of Nova Scotia. Now, even if the steadiest of the rain is clear of those areas, the winds are still going to be gusty, and there's likely to be some patchy drizzle around. So weather conditions could still be on the damp side, and certainly it will still be windy. And actually, it continues windy straight on into the forecast for the start of the weekend. Rainfall outlook for this weather system, fairly widespread rainfall totals 20 to 40 millimeters, pockets as high as 40 to 80 millimeters of rain. That's why we have some rainfall warnings that have been issued by Environment Canada. Here's a look at the winds in the forecast for tomorrow. Initially out of the southeast with some gusts between 40 and 70 kilometers per hour. Then as the front passes, the winds become southwest and west, but it does remain quite gusty through Friday night and through Saturday before winds diminish for Sunday. Lows in the forecast for tonight around the Maritimes. In most cases, high single digits, low teens, mid to high single digits for northern areas of New Brunswick. And there, high temperatures tomorrow between 9 and 13 degrees. Central and southern areas of New Brunswick with high temperatures between 13 and 15. And for Prince Edward Island tomorrow, the high temperatures 14 to 16 degrees as that wet and windy weather moves through. Eastern areas of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures of 13 to 15 for Cape Breton and between 14 and 17 for the North Shore and the eastern shore of the province. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. And in the southwest of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures between 14 and 18. 18 in the Annapolis Valley. It's a little bit milder with that wet weather moving through than you might expect because initially those winds are out of the southeast. Forecast for New Brunswick, some scattered showers on Saturday. Winds still gusty, temperatures chilly. On Saturday, mix of sun and cloud. Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, and the clocks go back. A mix of sun and cloud to start next week. A chance of showers on Tuesday and on Thursday. For Nova Scotia in the forecast coming up on Saturday, still windy, some scattered showers around. A mix of sun and cloud on Sunday with the clocks going back. A mix of sun and cloud on Monday, then a chance of showers on Tuesday. Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud and a chance of showers on Thursday of next week. And for Prince Edward Island, showers and continued windy conditions for Saturday. On Sunday, cloudy periods with a high temperature near 8 degrees. Mix of sun and cloud, high near 8 on Monday, followed by a chance of showers Tuesday into Wednesday. Bruce.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. Coming up next, we'll chat with a couple of very familiar faces from the world of federal politics who've come together for an important cause. And later, we have this story.
Hey there, I'm Stephanie Domet. I'm the co-founder and co-executive director of the Afterwards Literary Festival, celebrating 7 big years in Halifax all week long, and I'll give you all the details coming up.
Virgin.
Okay, so we're back at it tomorrow. Virgin Radio's 5K a day, giving you a chance to win $5,000 daily.
Get your keywords starting with us tomorrow at 7 a.m.
And get a shot at $100 in gas around 7:30. Good luck.
Well, our two guests together tonight have decades of experience at the highest level of politics in this country. Both of them served as cabinet ministers in their respective governments. Anne McClellan is a Liberal from Alberta and Lisa Raitt, an Ontario Conservative. But of course, we should note that each of them has a strong maritime history. So welcome home to both of you. It's so nice to see your familiar faces.
It's great to be here.
So you're here as co-chairs of something called the Coalition for a Better Future, and you were talking to youth. Tell me a little bit about that. What is the group?
Yeah. We're a voluntary organization made up of about 140 members, but those members represent big swaths of the Canadian economy, right? The forestry producers, the oil and gas producers, the automakers, and so on. No individual company, no government, but big swaths of the Canadian economy. And we were put in place to put an emphasis on inclusive, sustainable, long-term economic growth coming out of COVID. And what we want and continue to do is try and get governments at all levels, the private sector and civil society, focused on what we need to do to ensure long-term economic growth for this country, but the right kind of economic growth.
Yeah, it comes down to a question of productivity, right? We're not productive enough in this country.
Productivity is part of it. So instead of pontificating on what should be done, what we do is we have a scorecard. And there's 21 metrics that we measure every year. And part of it is to allow politicians and policymakers know whether or not their policies are working, but as well, it's to hold them accountable. And we've been doing this now for 4 years, and unfortunately, the metrics show us that we're getting progressively worse. So what Anne and I talk about is, yeah, productivity is a problem that we have to take a look at, and that is business investment and making sure that there is a pro-investment attitude in this country.
Is it worse now, given the current tariff situation?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, far worse.
Well, productivity is going in the wrong direction. We've seen GDP per capita is basically flatlining. Any growth we see is 1% or less. Business investment, private sector investment is way down. And I think you probably, you do hear Prime Minister Carney talking about the importance of building big things. And those big things only get built with an awful lot of private sector investment. And we're going the wrong way. And in large part, that's because of the uncertainty that's been created by President Trump and his tariffs.
What are the risks? You know, if the productivity doesn't, you know, increase, what are the risks? What are we heading for here?
So productivity doesn't increase on its own. Like, there has to be hard work. The risk around not having productivity improved by not having investment happen is that we actually have a lower standard of life. Quite frankly, that's what we're looking at. Anne and I do a lot of work as well in universities. We talk to a lot of young adults between the ages of 18 and 34, hearing what they have to say. They have a much different point of view on this country. They are extraordinarily pessimistic. They actually don't feel that we're doing as much as we can to have a higher quality of life. And that should be something that politicians and policymakers pay attention to when they're setting policy for the future. And be courageous.
And the government, or the governor of the Bank of Canada, Tiff Macklem, just said this the other day, that our standard of living is now at risk.
That's right. Without economic growth, you're not going to be able to build the social infrastructure, the healthcare system, the public education system, all those things that go to create that quality of life that we've enjoyed in this country. And I think Lisa's absolutely right. We were at Dalhousie University this morning. Young people wondering where the jobs of the future are. What does AI do to my job? Will what I had hoped to do disappear because of technology? Where are those new jobs that we know technology will create, but what do they look like? So there's a lot of uncertainty for young people right now.
Minister Melanie Joly recently made the comment that Canada doesn't have enough big companies. Is that true? Do you believe that?
Well, we do track. We do track to see who are those big companies. It's one of our metrics, and we did have a really good run at one point in time. We call them narwhals, meaning that you've got $1 billion in market cap. Instead of unicorns, narwhals, you got Canada perspective.
Yeah.
It's dropped a little bit. She's right. You need those anchor type of clients, but as well, you got to pay attention to the small and medium-sized businesses. And the other part that we focus on, no one else does, is rural Canada and what's happening there, because they really are the place where an economic shock can be absorbed and protected.
Budget coming up very shortly. A lot of people watching this, you know, coast to coast. What do both of you want to see in this budget?
I want to see the right balance being struck between sustaining those programs that are important for people, especially people who are struggling right now, whether it's making sure the Government of Canada is still investing in health care through the provinces, that childcare benefits are protected, that dental care is still protected. But on the other hand, making sure, as the Prime Minister has said, that we're going to make big generational investments in big projects which will in turn drive the economic growth we want to see and provide the employment for the next generation.
Lisa, what do you think?
I want to see the government take a real hard look at reducing regulations in the country. I'd like to see them reduce some taxes in the country for business so that they can make business investments. But it's in their hands. Whatever they can fix, they should fix. And the regulatory system is the one place where people and investors complain about in terms of certainty of having projects done. We've been talking about that for 4 years. So I think Nova Scotia is doing some good work in that area. I think they are trying to get to the heart of the matter on regulatory things and moving things forward, because unleashing your resources is going to help allow you to pay for things like healthcare.
I've only got about 20 seconds left. What does your relationship, the two of you, what does that say to your audiences about bipartisanship, especially in this day and age? Because you are, of course, from different parties.
I think it says that there are some issues that are so important to everyone in this country that people need to park, if you like, partisan differences and work together and set an example in terms of how you can work together to make a difference for people.
And behind us is a group of organizations that also are cross-partisan, including union representation, charitable representation, communities across the country. And I think what they say to us as we represent them is just show the fact that Canadians want to get things done together and that they got sick of politicians fighting with one another all the time.
We'll have to leave it there, ladies. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Our former federal cabinet ministers, Anne McClellan and Lisa Raitt. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're on the scene. A celebration of storytelling is about to return to Halifax. The Afterwards Literary Festival runs November 1st to the 9th. CTV's Katie Kelly has highlights of what's in store for readers and writers of all ages.
The 7th annual Afterwards Literary Festival is about to kick off this weekend. Stephanie Domet and Vivian Joe join me. Great to see you both.
Great to see you too.
So, Steph, we'll start with you. You've been part of this for a long time. I know this is a very special event. Can you just tell folks what it's all about?
Yeah, we're bringing about 50 writers from across Canada and beyond together in Halifax for a week of literary good times. So readings, interviews, panel conversations, some parties, a brunch, and of course Kids Day, Journée Jeunesse, which kicks the whole thing off on Saturday and which is just like a wild rumpus of a time at Halifax Central Library.
Vivian, that brings us to you. So tell us about this event happening on Saturday.
So it's going to be 12 authors at the Central Library, and we're all going to be bringing activities for the kids to complete. And there's going to be snacks, I'm told.
There will be snacks.
And it will run from 12:30 to 4 o'clock, and it's completely free. So it's just a whole afternoon of fun for kids and family to hang out.
The kids get a little passport when they come in, and they can take that passport around to each author. And the authors, like Vivian, hand-carved a stamp. Yes. Because Vivian is an overachiever, and we love that about Vivian. So you get like a little stamp or a sticker or autograph or a doodle in your little passport. I did it last year. I went around to all the authors. I'm going to do it again this year. It's so special. And yeah, the authors have activities at their tables. There's a cozy corner for reading. Some families come for 10 minutes. Some families come for the whole afternoon. afternoon. Some families come and go. There's like coloring sheets and a low sensory room and cotton candy and healthy snacks, and it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. And Vivian, tell me a little bit about your graphic novels.
Yeah, so my graphic novels, Atana and the Firebird and Atana and the Jade Mermaid, are a duology for 8 to 12-year-olds, and it's all fantasy, adventure, mermaids, witches, if your kid is into that kind of thing. Yeah, and it took me like 5 years to complete. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is your first literary festival?
Yes.
Yes, so your first time being part of Afterwards. What does that mean to you? This must be very exciting.
I'm really, really excited because not only is it like a great chance to meet the readers, the children, also just to connect with other other authors and other book enthusiasts in the area. So I'm very excited.
Excellent. And this is not just a Saturday event. This is going to be going on, and lots to see and do, and it's very accessible, right?
Yeah, it's extremely accessible. We really work hard to keep our ticket prices extremely low for all the events. People who can pay more tend to pay more by making a donation. People who can't pay at all, for whom price would be a barrier, are able to easily access free tickets via our website. That's really important to us. We really want to make a festival that anyone who wants to go to it can go to it and find something that like opens their heart, opens their mind, entertains them, transports them. That's what we're all about.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic event. Congratulations to you both, and have so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. We'll step aside for a moment with a look at tonight's primetime lineup.
With Aaron and Peter.
Join us tomorrow for our all Halloween show. Plus, we have to pick another shopper.
Yeah, for a $10,000 shopping spree, but you only have 10 minutes to spend it. Qualified tomorrow at 6.
On the markets today, the Dow ended the day down 109 points, and 2 of the so-called Magnificent 7 companies reported their results after hours today. Here's B&M Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez with more.
Amazon and Apple reported earnings after the end of the trading day. Let's start with the iPhone maker. iPhone revenue for the quarter was above $49 billion U.S. The company's getting a boost from its new model, iPhone 17, only introduced last month. Still, Apple narrowly missed the estimate, but analysts aren't too concerned. Amazon reported a strong performance for its web services. Revenue came in above $33 billion for the quarter. That's a 20% improvement from last year. The earnings report sent shares climbing in after-hours trading. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.49. West Texas Intermediate crude slightly up to 60.57. Western Canadian Select is up to 48.19, and the TSX gained 34 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Thank you, Morella. Now we'll head outside to the weather deck and Kaylin Mitchell for a look at the wake-up.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. It's cloudy and breezy out here on the deck at the moment. Let's take a look at a viewer picture for tonight. And Nova Scotia highways catching Blue Jays fever as well. This is a great picture sent in by Daryl Connors near the James River area in Antigonish County, Nova Scotia. Go Jays, go indeed. Thank you so much for that, Daryl. James River for tomorrow, of course, we do have that round of rainy and windy weather moving through. Looks like it's going to be rainiest in Antigonish County afternoon and right up around till the start of the early evening. Could even be 5, 6 p.m. That rain may still be coming down. High temperature near 16 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow. First part of the Maritimes to get into the rain and the winds will be western areas of New Brunswick, southwestern areas of Nova Scotia. Very early in the morning. It's a pretty quick moving weather system though, so moving from the morning into the afternoon, the entirety of the Maritimes gets into that rainy and windy weather. Possibility western parts of the region clear the steadiest of the rain by the time typical trick-or-treating hours start. Bruce.
All right, thanks, sir. Finally, tonight, a construction project is well underway, one that will change travel forever within one part of Europe. Deep within the Austrian Alps, progress is being made on the Brenner Base Tunnel. Once completed, the 55-kilometer-long railway tunnel will connect Innsbruck in Austria with northern Italy. Currently, trains have to travel along the steep and winding 150-year-old tracks through the Brenner Pass over the Alps. Upwards of 500 construction workers are currently working right around the clock to excavate the site deeper into the mountains. This is truly a massive project. At its deepest point, the tunnel will be 1,700 meters below the surface of the mountains. That is the program for this Thursday night. The rebroadcast begins in just a moment over on CTV2 and, of course, CTVNewsAtlantic.ca updates right around the clock. I'm Bruce Frisco in for Todd Battis tonight. I'll be back with your next newscast at 11:30 this evening. Thank you for watching this one. Have a good evening. Hope to see you soon.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.